So on this video, I think it'd be good to talk a little bit more conceptually of when should you hire a financial advisor, financial professional, financial planner, whatever you really want to call it. I feel like there's a lot of subcategories within that, and that's kind of a wrapper term a little bit. I do think the Lewis Group is a rare exception in the industry of that we do pretty much everything under that umbrella term. But I think there's a little bit of a confusion out there of I don't have enough assets, I don't know enough, I'm not far enough along in my career, or I'm way too late, there's nothing y'all can do for me. Some of the low-hanging fruit stuff I thought of was like, when you have a large influx of money, when there's big life changes, whether that's inheritances or lawsuits or divorces, all the bad things, but also the good things, right? When there's windfalls of cash, when you start
hopefully more good things than bad.
Yeah, hopefully, but we see both.
Yeah, we do.
Right.
If you get very, very involved in your clients' lives, which you should do, you should know as much as your clients will let you know. And if they're not going to let you know too much, then you probably don't have a relationship and can't work together, and that's okay too.
What do you always say? We don't want to operate in a bubble.
That's
right. If you only tell us a little bit about this, then what about all this other stuff that might affect that little part of it, right? We have to know everything we can.
To piggyback off what Nick was saying, we like to use the phrase, you don't know what you don't know. So you get into researching things on the internet, Googling this and that and the other, and I think that's a great idea to come in to prepared to any professional you go to talk to, whether it's your doctor or your attorney or your CPA, just so you have a little bit of idea of what's being spoken of out there and the verbiage maybe and how it pertains to your particular situation. But these guys are professionals. They're trained, they're experienced, they've worked with so many different scenarios. So that comes back to you don't know what you don't know. So you come in and say, well, I think I'll do this to take care of that situation. But then your professional can then, based on knowing you better, say, yeah, but what if this? But what if this? But what if this? Things that you haven't experienced, you probably will experience, but maybe you haven't been around long enough. And what is the reaction to each one of those? And the world's changing so fast. Yeah. Tax law changes fast. Products change fast. Somebody's got to be doing it full time, or there wouldn't be so many advisors out there. Same in the medical profession. You got your general practitioner, but then he knows when not to mess any further with the heart problem or the lung problem. So he has his pool of advisors that he goes to refer you to, and then they work together. The general practitioner and the specialists work together, and the same thing with us. You got to have a CPA, you got to have an attorney, and then really we are the ones that come in and quarterback all of that.
And I think going off what you just said, using kind of that doctor example, one of the mistakes that we hear is people only go to the advisor once they actually need the advisor, right? But sometimes, not that it's too late, but a lot could have been done to either prevent or prepare for whatever just happened in the life, So you don't just go to the doctor when you start feeling really bad and need a doctor, right? You have to go for them for years, and eventually maybe something happens and they're prepared for that, right? They find it before it's too serious to deal with.
It's what a physical's all about.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's kind of the same thing. We use that analogy a lot, but it's pretty powerful. But one thing you just said is you need your CPA, you need your attorney, you need your advisors, right? But do you think there is people who, should everybody have a financial person? Should everybody have a financial advisor, a CPA? Do you think everybody needs that?
No.
No?
Not everybody. If you're just getting going, it's nice to maybe be referred to those professionals that your friends or family has worked with, and to meet them and really to ask them, am I at a point where I need your services yet? Or are there some things that you can tell me that maybe get me down the road a few years before I circle back and really start leveraging your services the best? I think that's the best route. Mm-hmm. Because you're not going to know when it was too late and I should have called on this person already. You've met with them, you've established the relationship, you're comfortable with them because they were referred to you. And if they're good professionals, they're going to say, talk to me in 2 years.
Yep.
Let's touch base in 12 months or 6 months, and let's see where things are. And that's when you'll know when to pick up the relationship.
Yep. No, absolutely. I think we were having a conversation with a banker earlier a little bit about that, especially when you start to talk to the busy professional, especially business owners, I think we see a lot of business owners who are great at running the business. They're great at running their business finances. They're great at making the money, but like that's what they focus on. That's what they do every day. So maybe they're not comfortable with what we do so much, but they don't do it because they're just not familiar with it, right? So
Don't have time.
They don't have time. Yeah. So having those people in your court is invaluable, in my opinion.
Hey, we'd say that in our office. You get into the office at 7 or 8 in the morning, and then boom, it's full speed ahead. And the 2 or 3 things that you thought you were going to do for yourself during that day, although they may be very important, they just get pushed off to the side. And then it's 6 o'clock at night, day's over, you're wiped out.
Yep.
And okay, I'll do it tomorrow, and I'll do it tomorrow, and I'll do it tomorrow. And that's where you get in a tough situation. It's the old saying is the cobbler's kids have no shoes.
Yep.
So the cobbler makes shoes, but he's wearing a pair of worn out shoes, or his kids are bare feet. It's because they just don't get to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know how many attorneys don't have wills. For any attorneys out there listening,
Yep.
Sorry, but you can answer that better than me.
Yeah. I think we've experienced a little bit of that this year, going through some estate and financial planning
Absolutely.
for ourselves. We've looked at that a little bit. So
Yeah, absolutely.
everyone can be improved. These are 2 things that I think are a little bit, maybe a little bit arbitrary, so it's kind of hard to pin down this is the number, but I think another good portion of that is when the decision is too big for your financial literacy level, right? Because it's okay. I mean, you always want advice, right? You always want to get good sources of advice, but if it's $10,000 and you lose $1,000 of it, that's not really going to destroy the rest of your life. But if it's $500,000 and you could lose 5, 10, 15% of that, that's a totally different thing, right? So when the problem is big enough to where you need to go get advice, I think that's another good place to be as well. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When you said the value exceeds the return.
Yep. Value exceeds the return, exactly.
So what kind of value would that be?
I mean, again, that's hard to pin down a little bit because sometimes it's not even just the returns, it's hedging against the downsides too, because that's the thing that everybody likes to hoot and holler about. Hoot and holler.
Yeah, that's a good Texas thing.
Yeah, good Texas thing. People like to talk all about, advisors can't return double what the market's returning in general. I might as well go do this myself. I mean, that could be true. I mean, sometimes we return what the market returns. Sometimes we beat it. Sometimes the market beats us. Mm-hmm. But I think where the value of advisors really comes into play is the COVIDs and the 2008s and the 2001s and those big just events that are out of your control that maybe we don't know what they are, but we've seen enough of them to properly hedge and prepare for those kinds of things. So I think the value comes in a lot more on the downsides than it does on the upsides, right? So kind of what you were talking about, the value exceeds the return. We went to a conference on Friday and we were talking a lot about that, but it's like, we're returning the value more than we're charging, if that makes any sense.
Oh,
you can say that better than I can probably, but our fees and our value pay for themselves.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, or you wouldn't be working with us.
Yeah.
Same thing with any professional. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what you were saying a second ago. It's like, work with your family people, work with the people you trust, work with the people you get referred to. Because at the end of the day, we really don't have different resources than advisor down the street, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, whoever, right? We really all have the same resources. We don't have this special formula, and anybody who says they do, you might want to look into them a little bit more.
It's called marketing.
It is called marketing. Yeah. But in reality, the thing that becomes the most valuable when you're working with an advisor for a long time is someone you trust, someone you like, because you're going to be talking to that person for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Yeah. You don't want to work with someone you don't like and don't trust, right? You want to be able to get on the phone, call their front desk. It's not a robo answer, dial 1 for this person. No, you want to get an advisor that you trust, that you like, that's easy to work with, that takes that special care to take that extra responsibility off your plate, because that's what we're supposed to do. Yeah. Right? It's not always about the returns we bring you. It's about the work that we take off your plate to allow you to do everything else.
Yep. So often when you're talking about the downside thing, it's putting some rationality or some sanity to what's going on in the market. You know, again, there's so much thrown at you every day in the media and marketing, as we said before. It's trying to make sense of all that and walking you off the edge before you step off and make a really big mistake. And the only way to do that is for your advisor to know why you did what you did to begin with. It was discussed and agreed to and reviewed to make sure that those decisions and that plan is still relevant.
Yep.
And you review it and you review it and you review it so that when there is a question and the client does get nervous or is hearing a lot of things, you can always refer back to, why did we do this to begin with? Why did we do this kind of planning? Why did we make these decisions? And what were the goals? And does this still address all of that?
Yep.
And if it does, then all the rest of it's noise. It's designed to make you nervous. It's designed to make you go out there and do other things and think about other things, but it's not specific to you. You got to have a relationship to where your advisor is working with your needs and wants and concerns and risk tolerances and goals, because then in a half an hour conversation, they can bring you back to reality and say, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. What has changed? And you'll sit back and say, nothing.
Yep.
Then this still pertains. But if it doesn't, we'll address it.
Yep.
It's creating your own index. So for instance, everybody wants to compare their portfolios to the S&P index. Why?
Do you have the same goals as the S&P?
Yeah. Maybe you do, and that's okay. But what kind of performances do you need to achieve your goals? And that has nothing to do with just some index out there, whatever it is. It's the NIC index. Are we accomplishing what the NIC index needed to do to get you where you needed to go?
Yep.
And if the answer is yes, then again, all the rest of it's noise.
Yeah. Yep. And going back to that question of, should everyone have a financial advisor? Some people, I think, even the high-level, successful, big producer guys, some of them don't either. Some people like to do this stuff for themselves. Some people love learning all of this. But, I give this to almost every meeting I ever have. I show them this list, right? This is probably 85% of what we do. There's even some stuff that isn't listed, right? So, at the end of the day, do you want to come home from your 9 to 5 and learn every single thing on here and how it can affect you or adversely or beneficially? No, you don't.
No.
Right? So unless you're one of those rare few that loves doing this stuff, loves managing their own stuff, go to someone that you trust, go to someone that can do it for you. Right?
Absolutely.
Well, no, I think that's a good place to wrap this up. I just wanted to do a short review on why and when to use an advisor or a professional. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry it's been a little inconsistent recently, but we're going to start getting some more content out there and keep this going. And please give us y'all's feedback. We love to hear it. We've heard some cool things. So thank you guys and have a good one.
See ya.